Okay, so we were talking about differences in like the setting now. Did anyone see some differences?
Well, the wolf was in jail at the end.
Good point. So, and like, does that mean the whole story really was told from jail in the wolf's, and like the revised version? Whereas the first one was told more from just a general point, right? There
like
wasn't.
Omniscient.
Okay. All right. So these are kind of just like the differences that we saw from like the point of view and like the story, like the story itself and the story resolution and the setting kind of different. But what do you think? Like there are definite differences even on smaller levels, like of what these changes did to the language. So can we comment on like the different language changes that we saw between them?
The pigs weren't saying he couldn't come in because they didn't want him there. They were all too busy to help, or they were hiding, or it wasn't not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. It was I'm shaving my chinny chin chin.
Yeah, so like dialogue changes definitely. So there's changes in dialogue. There, one is two. Anything else? Any other changes that people noticed?
Pigs were portrayed as dumb instead of just lazy. They were portrayed as dumb and lazy.
And the wolf was sick.
Those are more changes that are like falling into like the plot of it again though, but like if we look at it like even just simple words, right? The way that this one is told, kind of commenting on the author change. Like this one, like the second pig also met a man, and this man was carrying a bundle of wood. Please, said the pig politely, will you give me some wood to build a house? Whereas like, so the author is just kind of telling the story from like an omniscient point of view, like outsider perspective, right? But in this one, the language completely changes as we get like the voice of the pig. I mean the wolf, and like he's talking like, I mean, but like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. You know, he says things like I was saying, refer, like, you know, so the language overall, we can see like how that like changes at a little level. Well, a big level, but in little ways. That way it changes. Okay, so we'll say changes in language. And then what does that like change in language really affect too also? Like in a big picture way, not in like the little things. Which would be kind of like the tone of each story. How do you think the tone changes from one story to the second? I mean,
because one is kind of the typical everyday, you know, the scary creature attacked the nice creature. And then in this one, it was all just a, you know,
Misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Framed.
Good. Perfect. So that's kind of what I wanted to point out. And then just to see how these little changes that they've made within there can affect then how the whole story is read. So by changing the character's point of view, and by emphasizing certain characters, like in the second one, we don't even get the guy that the pigs ask for the wood, like we did in the first one, or any of that background information. It takes us to a different, kind of just a side story almost, you know? But it's they're the same story, just this one's different and revised. And through the changes of, we're point of view from the wolf, and because it's the point of view from the wolf, we get that he's good and wants a cup of sugar. And that, in effect, because we are doing that changes the language and the tone and the dialogue that we're going to get. So we can start with an original story, and by tweaking certain little things affect the whole story, right? So kind of what I want to do from here, after going through these, is we've written our own narrative stories, and I want to get those out. And if you want to read over them and think about, maybe just jot down some things that like you could do, ideas of like revising your story, tweaking like character or the point of view, maybe finding a character within your story that you want to talk about their point of view instead of the one that you focused on already, and then working on that, and then next time we'll look about how that changed the language and the tone of our narratives. So we want to do that for a couple minutes. Does anybody have any last questions or thoughts about